Professor Wang Qiang, and everyone, thank you for attending the first of the 2022 webinar series initiated by the School of Education's Global and International Initiatives. And so before I start, I would like to say in this webinar, professionalism and netiquette is to be maintained in all communications. Personal attacks will not be tolerated. Now, with that said, I just want to say, Professor Wang Qiang, happy Tiger Lunar New Year, which is
Thank you.
This weekend.
Thank you.
And to all of us, happy International Education Week. And so in honor of this, we are so pleased to have Professor Wang Qiang. I was saying earlier that if you were to read about language teacher education in China, the first name that would pop up would be Professor Wang Qiang's name from Beijing Normal University. She's one of the most famous people in the area in China. So we're very thrilled to have her. Professor Wang Qiang is, as I mentioned, is a professor in the School of Foreign Languages and Literature at Beijing Normal University. Her fame comes from the fact that she has played a key role in the national English language curriculum in the country and in the projects for the revising of the curriculum for over 20 years. She's currently the head of the National Association for Language Teacher Education and Development, and her research interests and publications include those in the areas of English language curriculum, primary English language education, English reading literacy, and language teacher education and development, an extensive portfolio. So without further ado, Professor Wang Qiang.
Thank you, Farida. Good morning, everyone. I know it's a very early morning for all of you. It's quite late night here in Beijing. I'm very honored to be invited to join this first webinar of School of Education here. So very pleased to meet everybody, not face to face, but online. Thank you, Farida, for inviting me.
So we'll start. The way we're going to do this is we're going to have about 30 minutes of conversation about public teaching demonstrations and high-stakes teaching competitions. And then for about 15 to 20 minutes, we'll respond to questions. And so if the audience members have questions, do post them up. We're keeping track of the questions, but that's the process. So I'll start by asking the question, because this is public teaching lessons and high-stakes teaching competitions are a very unique form of teacher professional development in China. I think it's specific to China. Can you let us know a little bit about what that is?
Okay, we call it all demonstration lessons or public lessons, as I call it, which is a kind of a lesson public to other audience to showcase the teaching ideas that could be done in the classroom. Basically, they are intended to demonstrate good teaching, to regulate teachers' practice, and to improve, including the novice teachers' capacity. I think that this is also a platform to reward leading teachers at local or regional or provincial or national levels. To have an idea about what a public lesson looks like, I would like to show you a few slides so that you can see how they look like. They can be done in different kind of scales, national scales or local in school level. So there could be various levels that, let's see. So I'll show you.
Yeah, as you're sharing the screen, you know, this is very interesting in the sense that, you know, the teachers are showcasing their lessons and they're competing for who has the better lesson demonstration. Is that the essence of what public school lessons are?
Originally, there has been a time where people compete and then gave awards to first prize, second prize, this kind of awards that awarded to those teachers who actually done those public lessons. But now I think it has been revised or reframed the kind of public lesson, but used to be like that a lot. But nowadays, I think people are no longer so keen on getting the awards, but more on actually learning from doing it. I think. So I just can't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first.
I can't move on to the next slide. Oh, yeah, should be working here. Okay. So here is
Sorry,
like
Professor Wang Qiang, can we change the settings of these slides? Change display setting to swap slides. Yeah, because now we say it's
two slides.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yes,
really?
yes.
Okay.
There's some notes on the right. Don't forget the full screen.
You don't get the full screen?
Yes, we just saw two slides.
We were seeing your presenter view, so if you could share the other screen, I think we'll be in good shape.
I see. Okay.
So as you were saying, as you were doing that, the first time these public lessons were developed, they were more as an effort to learn. And so then it became a competition.
Yes, it is competition. It was competition by nature. Now I think competition is being lowered. I mean, in a way, try to decrease this kind of high stake competition, but use it as a kind of a forum for people to discuss and to see how a lesson reflecting the curriculum goals that can be actually practiced in the classroom.
Yeah.
Does this show well now?
Yeah, it's looking very good. So we can proceed with the discussion. I mean, just this picture that you showed us, it's, and you can kind of see the teachers teaching on the platform.
Yes, the teachers are teaching on the platform. So there are different kind of public lessons organized in a stadium or in an auditorium.
Right.
With large crowds of teachers observing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have, one of the interesting aspects of this teaching. So this one is the later aspect, but one of the most interesting aspect of this teaching is that the teachers sometimes, often don't teach their own students. They can, but some of the students are not their own, and so they're teaching to students from elsewhere. So they're trying these lessons out. I think the other aspect of this is that they're judges, right?
There are judges.
Yeah, they're judges.
I'll show you
somewhere.
The judges. Let's see, the judges on this side, right here.
Okay. Yeah, they're judges watching this teaching, and then they're also their colleagues watching this teaching.
Yes. Their colleagues actually prepare the lessons together with a group of teachers actually prepare the lesson together with the teacher who are actually doing the teaching. And the other teachers from all over the country usually would come and observe all these lessons. Those teachers who are actually teaching here are coming from different provinces. They are selected through different levels of competitions. And then they are being finally selected as the best representing that particular province. So usually, within about 30 provinces, so that you will observe during these few days, at least 30 lessons of teachers from different provinces. And that's why there will be a few schools actually providing students. These students are none of them are their own students. They are all, we say, borrowed classes from local schools. So they teach those students without knowing them.
Wow, that's a very new concept to many of us here. I mean, there's several things that you mentioned here. The fact that it's a competition. I don't think we have teaching competitions like that here. Looking at this it's pretty high stakes. And so so one of the things that you mentioned that was really interesting is that teachers work together to prepare these lessons, right? They help each other. And so that helps to reduce the stress, I suppose, because it looks pretty stressful.
Those teachers, before coming to teach, they have practiced in their own home school for quite some time. Sometimes those during a time that they are not allowed to do those kind of rehearsals. So they were given the lesson 24 hours before the actual performance. So they had only 24 hours to prepare the lesson, so they can't prepare the students. Then their teaching would be real. I mean, as a kind of competition, used to be like that. So there's very high stake and really high pressure for all the teachers and the schools. Nowadays, and things have been changed. We're no longer doing 24-hour preparation thing. It's done actually, they can be using their own students and doing this, but to practice. And once they come here, they can actually teach the same lesson they prepared before they come. Yes.
I'm sure that helps quite a bit in terms of getting the teachers ready and their stress level. So as we're looking at the several processes, so they prepare and they practice many times with their own students. Their colleagues give comments, and then and then they do this competitions. Now at the end of their teaching, one of the things that happens is that the judges, right, they have to defend their teaching to the judges. They have a session whereby, they after the teaching is over, the judges ask them questions, correct?
Yes. They will be asked some questions, maybe a very short time. I think it's just about 2 questions maximum. And then they are given a time to also reflect on their teaching with all the audience to talk about how they, what were their principles for designing the lesson, and what was put into the lesson that reflected the curriculum ideas, and then how they felt about the lesson and what was done well, what wasn't done well, and to share with the audience. Yes. And there are also comments from other, we call them experts who will make a few comments. And this is like a panel here that after the demonstration lesson, the 3 teachers on the right are those who have just given the demo lessons. The 5 people on from middle to the left are those who are actually called teaching research specialists or university teachers. Also, 1 university teacher and 3 teaching research specialists. They are actually doing a discussion, talking about sharing about their views about the 3 lessons. So the 3 young teachers actually have given the lesson, are actually listening and trying to answer any of the questions if they have to ask them. Yes.
So in your experience, what are the criteria that the judges use to evaluate teaching demonstrations?
There is actually an evaluation sheet given to the judges. Everyone has the same evaluation standards for curriculum goals, for the lesson objectives, basically for the activities that designed, whether they are centered on the students student-centered or whether it's more teacher-centered, and also including the kind of classroom interactions, whether there will be a variety of interaction forms or patterns, or just a teacher talk, and then there's also students learning effectiveness, or basically included in those. And the use of technology would be another aspect that to look at, whether they've used information technology or educational technology to support the teaching and how effective they are. Yeah.
In your experience, I'm just going to ask this a little bit more before I go into the second question, which is, in your experience, what are the best demos that you've seen? What have they done that has, that has really impressed you?
There are some teachers who are really, really good because in their teaching, they can actually, they're very experienced and they motivate the students, and the students are actually enjoying the lesson of learning with the teacher, and they are engaged in thinking about the questions, thinking about the task, and working together to produce something. And you can actually see within just 40 minutes time that students can actually produce something that was really impressive. There are various kind of lessons. Some of the lessons are reading, some are listening, some are about writing, and some are about story reading. So that there is a variety of different lessons. These teachers have selected their own materials so they can demonstrate with the audience and in a large area or auditorium to share their expertise. Yes.
You mentioned something that we didn't know before, was how long were each of these sessions, which is, as you said, about 40 minutes. And
35 to 40 minutes, yes.
Yeah. And most of the teachers who go through this are teachers under 40, right? They're young teachers, younger teachers.
Mostly younger teachers, yes.
Right. And why is it necessary for them to have these teaching competitions?
I think it's not only originally is a way actually for them to get promoted, get awarded, to actually to publicize the school or to demonstrate the actual curriculum ideas, because curriculum ideas are usually abstract that teachers find it very difficult to put them into practice. And by doing this, and for all the teachers to see how things can be done in the classroom with the students. So we need some teachers to actually demonstrate how this can be done. So a lot of schools, and they would actually be feeling very honored to be selected. One of the candidates to actually show their expertise to demonstrate how things can be done. So the whole group of teachers would use some time to discuss deeply, about how this can be done in the classroom. And they use this idea to try with different levels of students, higher, more advanced learners and lower level students, because they can't be sure whether the students that they have in the real competition, the levels that they cannot judge. So in a sense that they have to practice with different levels of students so that they know how they would actually work with the students if they find the students' levels vary from those that they prepared for. So without knowing the students, it's a real challenge. But I think those very experienced, those who have actually practiced, they are very experienced. They are very good teachers to deal with this. I think most of them are basically are doing their best, and they feel very proud that they have this chance to be on such a stage. To demonstrate their expertise to all the audience from all over the country.
Yeah, I see questions emerging, but one of the things I think before we get into the questions that might be asked is that one of the things that in reading your article, you've listed all the benefits of these public teaching lessons, which happen at the school and then at the provincial level and then at the state level and then at the national level. So there are many levels of competitions that the teachers go through. And then you've listed the benefits of all these competitions in the sense that, for example, seeing theory put into practice, and whatnot, and seeing what a good teacher can really do. But your article that we read focused on the need to reframe this.
Yes.
And that says something that you have, in all of your experience with the public competitions that you've been chairing and judging and organizing as well. You see that something happening in there, and you feel the need to take it to a different place. So can you talk to us about the reframing of what we see here today, which is quite impressive. The pictures tell 1,000 stories. A picture tells you many stories just with a few of them.
Sure. I think the problem that I'm really concerned is the kind of superficial understanding of the curriculum, because they pay more attention, including audience, pay more attention to how the teacher perform on the stage, rather than how much students have learned through the lesson. So the whole focus is on winning the lesson rather than putting into their attention to how teaching and learning interacts that makes learning happen. So this is something that really worries me. So as a curriculum developer and a teacher trainer, so I was deeply concerned with this, the effectiveness, how these curriculum ideas can really be put into practice and bring about deep learning rather than superficial or surface learning. So that's why I think we need to reframe the public lesson. That what I have found is public lessons are being recognized as one of the most useful way for teachers to learn from other teachers. They really keen on observing how other people learn. So I think how we can reframe the public lesson is quite a key to solve the problem. So that's why I think I started to work with a group of teachers and other colleagues to reframe the lesson. So the reframing of the lesson, I think we paid more attention to team working. It's not simply for a group of teachers working with a particular teacher who conduct a lesson in order to win the competition. We are working together. We are actually bringing the textbook material developer, the curriculum developer, as well as the school teachers and teaching research specialists at the local level. So we put these people together. What we do is we're not actually using materials from outside the textbook or the curriculum. We're using the course book that the school actually is using at the moment. And we are getting the curriculum ideas and the textbook together to see how this lesson in particular can be done in real teaching. So it is not additional work for the teacher, because originally for competitions, they have to find some materials outside their regular teaching. They have to find something not really from their real course books for fairness, but now what we do is we just use the material that the teacher uses, and based on which we try to plan the lesson together with the teacher, together with the curriculum as guiding principles. And so that we can help the teacher to see these curriculum ideas or curriculum goals that can be translated into specific lesson objectives to combine with the textbook materials, with the text that they are actually selected from the textbook. So we're not doing something in addition to doing competition. We're doing something that helping teachers to do their teaching in a way that we expect that the reform will look for. So in this way, I think teachers are being really very welcome to such kind of new changes, because they're not doing anything additional. We are helping them to do what they are regularly doing in the classroom. So in this way, they find it more useful and helpful, so that they can transfer what they've learned in this particular lesson for demonstration. We're also using demonstration lessons. Once we've prepared it, we also try it in with different classes at the same level of the students, with different classes, to see how it goes. And after each lesson, we will get together to discuss what happened, what actually students have actually learned, what we expected to learn, expected them to learn, or what they haven't learned, and what's the reason for that, how we can modify or adjust our teaching so that we can enable learning to happen in a way that we would expect. So in this way, yeah.
So I think I already am beginning to see questions popping up, and so we'll start with those questions in about 5 minutes. As we hit 9 o'clock from the audience, we'll start with the audience questions. And so we still have a few minutes to have this conversation between the two of us. And one of the things that happened that I think I would like to bring up, the reframing of public lessons and teaching competitions that you're suggesting is remarkable, because just looking at the pictures, I see these teachers by themselves up there being judged. And so, but when you have this more collaborative approach, it seems, I think it helps with kind of feeling that you're all in this together, that we're working together, that you're not up there alone, trying to prove your excellence. And so that, as a teacher myself, I feel that would be very, very challenging for me to do. But yeah, I think there's also this criticism that, even with the reframing that you mentioned, that teachers are still expected to meet external standards of best teaching, or even, and so in essence, you said that they'll be using their own materials from their classroom, whatever it is that they're practicing, but still, to some extent, even with this reframing, they have to use textbooks that were developed, that they were asked to do, or that they have standards that they have to meet, even then. So what would you say to that criticism?
I think nowadays what we do is, with those teachers who actually are doing the demo lessons, they are recommended or selected by the school. Nowadays, what we do is we want them to volunteer. If you want to do it, then you can volunteer, so that they're not forced to do it, or they are not pressured to do it. They are willing to try, and I find many teachers, they welcome the curriculum ideas and they support the ideas. The only worries or problems they have is they don't know what to do. They lack skills or strategies to actually put these ideas into practice. There is a gap there. So I think they are very keen in learning how they can do it in a sense. And the school also were motivated to do this. And in this way, I think we're not actually forcing teachers to do public lessons. They are willing to do it. Of course, in addition to what they do for the demo lesson or public lessons, they get kind of a certificate for doing it. What level they do, at the local level, sometimes at the provincial level, and sometimes at the national level. I think most teachers are not doing at the national level, because only one teacher from each province can be selected. But during the normal teaching days during the school calendar, a lot more teachers would like to actually learn how to teach with the new curriculum. So in a sense, they would volunteer to do it. A lot of schools now are trying to find a way to collaborate with other parties, I mean the universities and teaching research specialists would create opportunities for them to actually work together to try to do a few lessons so that they can see different forms of lessons can be done with the curriculum ideas. I think the passion.
Reframing? Is that the reframing that you're talking about?
I think it's continuously reframing. I mean, the public lessons are being reframed and reframed continuously. So it's not simply one form. There are a lot of new forms coming up. So people are no longer so keen on the final national competition, but they are more on the regular classroom teaching. Because one of the criticism is public lessons, they are too good to be true. And they can only be done during the public lesson. In regular lessons, they cannot be done because students are simply too good. Whatever they teach, they learn. They don't have any problems, any difficulties. So for this reason, we are no longer doing those kind of public lessons to rehearse before they do the demo. What we do now is we get them to teach their own students. They can try with other students, but the final demo lesson is the students that they are teaching themselves. So they know the students, that's one thing. And they are teaching using their own course books. They're not using materials given by other people. So they are using their own course books to do it. And also when they teach, they have a more open mind to receive criticisms. So they welcome other people to come and observe so that to help them to improve their teaching. So there is more learning oriented. And another thing, what I'm very keen is I want to make a public lesson, demo lesson is something that teachers find that they can do in their regular classes, rather than it's only a showcase to show other people how good it is. So this, I think, changed the nature of public lessons. So in a district, when we do the demo lessons, the whole district using the same material. So all the teachers would come to see how this lesson, focusing on one particular text, whether listening, speaking, or writing, whatever it is, and they can see how this lesson can be done in a real classroom with the teacher's own students. And all these lessons were later on collected as all resources and to put online so that teachers can actually see if they want to see whichever lesson they want to see how it could be done. They are all online. They are available as resources for all the teachers who are using the same course books.
These are best practices that you're describing and sharing the resources of best practices. But that's your reframing. That's your effort to reframe public lessons, which you write about, and which is an incredible, I think, contribution to what's happening. But the competition still exists in the format.
Yes, competition still exists. Yes, at the national level.
Right, exists in the format that before you started reframing all of this. So those other competitions still do exist. And so there's a question from let's not. It's 9 o'clock, so we can, if you don't mind, let's look at the questions that people are posting for us. The first one from David. David was saying, for teachers who won the competitions, to what extent are they going to get promoted or recognized at their schools?
Oh, I think they are using it as credits, because if they want to get promoted, they need other things. It's not only the competition or the one certificate or award. So it could add to the credits for them. At the higher level, the more credits they will get. At the national level, it gets more credits. But if you get a local level, you get lower credits, but still some credits add up to your for preparing for the promotion.
Yeah, for status. And so I think you have your. I think the one thing that that we need to know also is that teachers have different levels. You have the beginning teacher, and they're promoted to the next level, to the next, all the way to Gugan Lauscher and onwards and forwards. But that's based on their the number of competitions they've won. And is that not so? And also, it's also a basis for salary increase. Would that not be the case?
Nowadays, I think younger teachers get more chances to do the demo lessons. The older teachers, more experienced teachers, they are being as the kind of coach, supporting the young teachers. So it's not like those who are more experienced would get more awards, but they would get something like being a coach. If the one who the younger teacher you worked with who won the prize, then being the coach would actually get also a certificate being the coach.
Sure. Yeah, I'm just saying that there is the stages of promotion, and these are based on this is what the young teachers are going through. They are being promoted at different stage based on the demo lessons or based on the competition, the award.
Demo lesson is a must for every teacher to be promoted nowadays. If you want to get promoted, whatever level that you will get promoted, you need to get a demo lesson certificate being available.
Yeah. So in other words, you must win competitions. You must show demonstration lessons.
Those demonstration lessons are no longer competitions. Okay. It's just a teacher training session, but you offered a demo lesson. Yes, you must do. Yeah, you must do. It's not competition.
Right.
It's only a certificate. It's no first prize or second prize, but a certificate showing that you've done it.
But those demo lessons can be selected to become teaching.
Yes, they can be selected later on when national or provincial competition comes. You can get prepared, for that.
Right, fantastic. So I think that was one question. Another question is that in your article, this is from Keeley, in your article, you mentioned that there is a shift of emphasis from learning of language knowledge, such as vocabulary and grammar, to whole person education through language learning. What do you believe caused this shift?
I think this is from advocated in the national curriculum since 2001, the 21st century. We all know as the 8th national curriculum reform began 2001 from when that the curriculum goals changed from focusing on knowledge and skills to focusing on the whole person. We say education for quality. One way to do that, one reason for doing this is that the government want to get rid of the kind of education for exams, focusing only on the knowledge and discrete skills. So actually the reform has been going on for over 20 years, from 2001 to now to 2022 now, more than 20 years. That this has been the direction that the whole country is striving for: education for quality, education for the whole person, and nowadays education for core competencies since 2 years ago. Yeah.
So is they're reacting to a policy change of sorts, in the sense that
yes,
there is a policy change for teachers to be less transmission oriented or teacher centered oriented to
yes,
more of a learner centered orientation. And so this is what have you seen people do in as a consequence? What kinds of I think that the question is also what kinds of configurations or attempts or strategies have teachers been doing to address this policy change and to address this shift that you've seen through competitions and public lessons? What have they tried to do, and what was before that?
I think teachers, first of all, are very keen on learning the new ideas. They're not used to, they used to teaching the knowledge and skills. They are very keen on learning about it. They have difficulties putting ideas into practice. Though things are gradually changing, at least we see students are being able from primary to secondary school, the more students are being able to listen and understand the English and speak English. Like, before people criticize, this kind of English language teaching as numb and deaf, without being able to understand or without able to speak a word. So nowadays, I think students are their ability to use the language to express simple ideas and for simple communication are changing, the whole picture of English education. And also one difficulties for continuous changing this is the exam. I think teachers are so obsessed with the exam assessment system that not only students are assessed through the scores, evaluated, the teachers are also evaluated by the school using the student scores. So this is one of the key things. I think blocking the further reforms, I think nowadays. So the exams need to be reformed. First of all, I think the exams in a sense has been changing gradually, not overnight, all of a sudden, but gradually changing some part of the exams so that can support students for more attention to the ability to use the language rather than simply remembering the vocabulary and the grammar rules to cope with the exams. So, yeah.
I want to ask a few more things about, I think there are questions about the Gaokao, which is the exams, and how English, the role of English has changed in the Gaokaos. But there are a few more questions here that I want to kind of bring up too from the audience about the teaching competitions. The first one is from Chen. The students selected as the audience during the competition, will they communicate with the teachers in the competition ahead of time to prepare for the competition? If yes, will that influence the objectivity of the competition results?
Originally, I think teachers are allowed to meet the students ahead of time for one day. Before the competition takes place. And then the teachers are put together with the students for maybe a few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. And we don't know what they talk about, in a sense. Traditionally, they are allowed to meet the students. But nowadays, I think teachers are only allowed to meet the students 10 minutes before the lesson. So they only meet the student to see them and to introduce themselves to the student. Then they start the lesson. So in actual teaching, I don't think students are affected by whether they know the teacher or not. They are more keen on the content, on how the teacher can motivate them. They can actually do very well with, interact very well with the teacher who actually conduct the lesson. I think students they like new things. There is a new teacher coming, and usually those teachers are young and they are very well dressed. For girls, they are all very good looking mostly, and the students actually like the young teachers and the new teacher for them. And these teachers are, in a sense, they are, in terms of teaching skills, they are probably more often than not better than their own classroom teacher because they are already selected from hundreds of other teachers, being good in interaction with other students. So I don't think students will be affected by a new teacher. They actually are very, very looking forward to something that they normally do not have.
You mean by good looking, you mean they present themselves professionally. They're ready
Yes.
for the competition. So they take it very seriously.
Yes.
And so another question I think that emerges here is, I wonder, will the question is again is whether the teachers have you seen whether they're able to apply what they practice for the competition, or they just practice for the competition? That's the question.
That's a good question, I think. I have not actually followed any of those teachers who participate in the competition, whether they apply what they learned, during the preparation for the competition or during the competition, whether they do it in their regular classrooms. I think those teachers, from my own understanding, these teachers, through this whole process of preparing for the lesson, they actually gained a lot. I think it's a big promotion for them, for their own professional development, because so many teachers actually, a whole group of teachers are actually discussing and sharing their views with them. So I think it's a way for them to learn. There must be some kind of influence, on their own original way of teaching. I don't think they would actually forget all about the public lesson and go back to their traditional lesson. I don't know how much that to what degree that they could actually use all the ideas. I think gradually, and they are learning how to do a more effective lesson. I think this is very important. I haven't really followed these teachers and see what really happened. But these teachers are all good teachers. They are good teachers being selected for, from so many other candidates. Yeah.
Yeah, for them to be selected, they've gone through the rigorous process.
They're already good enough. Yes.
So this is a good dissertation topic for somebody. I see several.
Yeah, maybe.
So there's also another question about the teaching competition, and whether there is an issue that you've seen in terms of them integrating technology into the teaching, particularly during and post-pandemic. And so, what are some of the do you see this to be a challenge? I guess what are the challenges? Is integration technology one of the challenges, especially during the pandemic, and what actually happened during the pandemic?
I think the pandemic, though interrupted the regular classes or lessons, in a sense, they actually promoted the teachers' skills in using technology. Basically, all teachers from primary, secondary, university teachers are all knowing now how to do we call it originally distance kind of teaching using the technology. I was also one of the person who actually learned to use this kind of conferencing way to teach online. And I think all teachers' capability in using technology has been improved a great deal through the pandemic. And the post-pandemic, I think post-pandemic, I think they would be more capable of thinking about combining or applying information technology to support teaching, because information technology is not teaching itself. It's only it's a tool for supporting learning. So I think nowadays there are a lot of techniques available. I think I've seen teachers trying to use technology to do classroom assessment while teaching. So they're at certain points, they would stop and gave students some kind of a small quiz or test that they immediately get feedback and gave back to the students, and the teachers would modify the teaching and try to support those who are actually not learning or doing very well. So this way, I think there is immediate feedback through technology using this kind of performance or classroom assessment being used, I think, online. And also in the regular classrooms, they also apply this kind of technology to assess student learning from time to time. The only thing I
was going to say that the competitions take, the only thing, what was it? Sorry, are you going to say?
Oh, the only thing I'm a little bit concerned is about how these kind of assessment really promotes learning and teaching, or whether it's a kind of, again, a show to other people. I'm now using technology to assess learning. Some teachers just do it without follow up what they have got from the results of the assessment. So this is only something they need more support. I mean, teachers.
So did the teaching competitions take place during the pandemic?
I think the pandemic, let me think. I think they are still going on during the pandemic because I think in China, the scale is smaller. The scale is smaller within a smaller group of no more than 200 teachers on site. However, the demo sometimes can be broadcasted through online facilities so that people don't have to travel. They can observe the lesson from anywhere they are in. So I think the pandemic have also created more opportunities for teachers to learn online. Doesn't matter time, doesn't matter about the time, doesn't matter about the location, and they don't have to pay for the transportation and accommodation. So they just observe the lesson where they are in their own offices. Sometimes teachers organize themselves in the office to observe the lesson together. So this has become a kind of a routine way to do public lessons.
I think you mentioned something too that's unique in China when you say, well, a small group of people, 200 teachers, that's huge for us. And
that's still huge, but compared to the larger ones, 4,000, 5,000 teachers altogether. Yes.
I've been to several of those competitions, 4,000, 5,000 people, which is really, I mean, it's
the national level, yes.
Yeah, it's an amazing, event, actually, to be at. And so we're almost wrapping up here. We have about 7 minutes, and one of the things I want to ask is, this is more of a question about trying to understand the perspective from your perspective, because the competitions, there are two values happening. One is collaboration between teachers, and then there's also it somewhat goes against the idea of individual achievement, right? And these two values are both important in education in your setting. How is it resolved? I mean, how do they, the idea of individual competition, the idea that there has to be huge collaboration between teachers. And one of the things that we didn't get to talk about is the idea of jiao yanzu, whereby teachers support each other in small groups so strongly. I think that's one of the unique aspects of Chinese teacher education, that professional development actually is school-based, is in the school. That's a huge amount of collaboration. But then it goes against the idea of individual achievement. How is that, how in your mind does that, how do we come to terms with that?
I think the one who actually conduct the lesson, who all get awarded or awarded as a certificate. Nowadays, we don't actually talk about so much of a competition, except the national level. They are, all of them who actually present on the stage are being first prize. So they don't have to compete. They just show how well they do it. I think this is one of the uniqueness of the Chinese educational system, that we have for a long, long time as a tradition. We have 3 tiers of institutional structures that at different levels staffed with different kind of teaching research specialists at national, not national, provincial, municipal, and county levels. And nowadays, adding to 5 levels, we have a central level under the Ministry of Education and the school-based kind of level. So teachers are actually already organized into groups, into districts, into the city, or the whole province. They have this kind of different levels of training going on with this institutional structure. So teachers are used to work as a whole group. Originally, without competition, they also work as a whole group. There is a certain time each week that they're going to get together to do professional development, those kind of things. And the teacher who actually participate in a final either competition or doing a demo lesson for other teachers, she or he is the one who actually works the most, in fact. So people recognize their efforts and they are undertaking a lot more pressure than other teachers who are supporting them. They consider the whole individual awards as a collective proudness because they've worked together and made it. They've made it. The one who actually demo the lesson is the one who actually being selected as doing the demo. Yeah, although the final certificate is given to the individual teacher, because all these teachers probably have done one way or another. They have different opportunities, different kind of occasions to do demo lesson, because demo lesson is a kind of a must for all young teachers to get promoted. So they have various opportunities. All teachers will have this kind of opportunities one way or another. So it doesn't really matter for individuals who actually just one individual who get awarded, but all individuals, as long as you try, you will be awarded as well. So all the teachers would work together. This time is helping this teacher, next time helping another teacher. So this is a kind of common practice.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I think that's probably what we need to understand, because there is that huge support that's very unique. I mean, the teacher groups that support each teacher is something to see in China. So we have a few minutes, and is there something that we did not bring up that you think is critical that we need to understand in terms of teaching lessons or high stakes competition in China?
I think in China, teachers are actually very diligent and very keen on doing what they are doing. They're now, I think, becoming more professionalized than 20 years ago. Because with a continuous curriculum reform, teachers are learning very keenly on different kind of curriculum theories, and they are developing different kind of strategies and skills. Now, in the last few 2 years, I think we are moving into another round of reform with the senior high school, promoting the core competencies rather than the language ability nowadays. So it's called core competencies. With the core competencies, there's more emphasis not only on the language competence, but also cultural awareness and the thinking capacity, as well as learning ability. There are 4 elements that put together the English subject core competencies. Mm-hmm. These are the 4 elements. And this is another challenge for teachers all over the country now. So they are now learning something new. Over the past years, they've been learning continuously about something new. So I think nowadays we're moving into, rather than one lesson kind of instruction, moving into the unit-based instruction. So taking the whole unit as one unit of teaching rather than doing simply one single lesson. So in a sense that teachers need to plan beforehand on the whole overall theme of the whole unit and how this theme was actually developed using different kind of text forms or text types. There are different kind of text types with the sub themes, but contributing to the whole understanding of the unit theme. So this is another big challenge for teachers, but teachers are not learning working and learning very hard to get this new unit-based design of the instruction. I think they're looking for, we talk about the big ideas nowadays. So it's no longer about the knowledge and the skills, but looking for something more concept-based teaching and learning rather than discrete facts or vocabulary or skills. So this is another new round that's being done at the moment. Yeah.
So we're at time at this point in time, and I do want to say, based on what you just said, with teacher educators and leaders like you, I think the Chinese teachers will continue. I mean, will have great guidance. I think this is the essence of what they say as Gugan Laoshe. You are one of those backbone teachers, I think, and leaders that they have that shine the way. And so, with that, again, I want to thank you for your time and to express our gratitude that you've taken this almost New Year's Eve to talk to us late in the evening. Your time is now 10:30 in the evening, so we are most appreciative, and we hope to be able to do this again with you down the road. This has been a complete pleasure. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night and good morning.
Thank you.